Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates, with your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Hi, everybody. This is Cindy with another episode of Spectrum Perspectives. And today I have a special guest with me, Mr. Graham Kay, the one and only. Hi, Graham.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for coming. So Graham is a professional comedian, and he's also a podcaster, and he does the Autastic podcast with Kirk Smith. And we already interviewed Kirk, and now today I'm bringing on Graham for his own segment. Uh-oh. What happened? I just lost you.
Sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh, okay.
I got a phone call. It was my girlfriend. I immediately hung up because you're the only woman in my life right now.
Right, for at least a half hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you're on a cruise ship right now, right?
Yeah. Trying to work a lot this year and taking every gig that comes at me. So I don't normally do cruise ships, but I'm on a cruise ship right now. And it's nice though. It's nice to go in the winter. I'm in the Bahamas. It snowed in New York where I live, and it is like 74 degrees and sunny. So
yeah, I don't feel sorry for you. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for you at all.
No.
Yeah, I'm here in New Jersey.
And I got well, sorry.
Cold.
Sorry,
It's cold and icy and snowy and miserable. And yeah, I wish I was in the Bahamas, but I'm not. So
yeah. And I already got my my booster, and I already got Omicron like just before Christmas, so I'm pretty much indestructible on this ship.
So the subject of my podcast, as well as yours, is autism, right? And you have a brother with autism. Kirk has a son, you have a brother, and the two of you get on your podcast and you chat together. Mine is different. I interview other people, and you are my first sibling interview. Usually I interview parents or, professionals, attorneys, whatever, but I'm happy to talk to a sibling. So tell everybody your brother's name and how old he is.
My brother's name is Peter, and he is 37.
37. So he's younger than you? How many years younger?
He's younger. He's 3 years younger. It's crazy. We are getting old. It's pretty nuts. But
wait, 37. Ooh, so you're doing 4-0.
I am the big 4-0. I'm 40 and a half right now. It's yeah.
So you were only 3 years old.
I'm becoming a man.
So and he's the only sibling. There's only the two of you?
Only sibling. It's just me and him. I was 3, and I think it taught me a lot. It really affected who I am as a person, and mostly in positive ways. I think that he, especially since it was just myself and him. I was basically an only child, but I had to share. So and I not only had to share, I had someone I had to take care of and watch over. Now, my parents are really good at like not putting any burden on me, but there's no way that you can avoid the fact that you're playing with your brother in a playground and you are 6 years old, but you know that this 3-year-old kid who is showing early signs of autism, you have to take care of him. Because he's special, he's not going to be able to like do other things, or let's say 10 and 7 or whatever. Like your whole time growing up, you're kind of you've got one eye on him, you're always protecting him and stuff like that. And it taught me a lot of patience. I'm a very good teacher when it comes to explaining things to people. I'm very resilient just in life in general. I'm a lot tougher than my peers are, because I just think I have a greater perspective on life, and it's not always going to go your way because my sibling that I spent all my time with growing up doesn't have any of the advantage, like a lot of the advantages I have. Now he is a great guy and has a lot. We're lucky in a lot of ways. He's verbal. He can hold down a part-time job, but really it's charity. Most of his jobs are charity. It's like, you know, mop this up and we'll give you some money type thing. We don't really need you to mop it up, but can you mop it? But he can do those things. He can ride the bus to those things, and he's a great friend and brother to myself and other people. So we're lucky in a lot of ways. He's lucky in a lot of ways. He can do those things. But the bottom line, the reality is he is differently abled. He has less abilities. And when you grow up with somebody like that, it teaches you to not take things for granted and also not take life too seriously in a way. It's like, this is, you know, I'm not a religious person. I know Kirk is my podcast partner, but for lack of a better word, this is all a blessing. I'm lucky. You know, I'm very lucky to be experiencing this life. And I owe that general feeling to my brother, I think.
Well, let's go back when he was little. Do you know how old he was when he was first diagnosed with autism? Because you mentioned being on the playground and he was 3 years old, right? So I'm thinking, oh, is that about the time when he was diagnosed? Because 37 years ago, nobody knew anything about autism. And you grew up in Canada too, right? Right? Did you grow up in Canada? Okay.
We're my family's in Ottawa. My brother's in Ottawa. And I remember, I don't know exactly when. I can tell you what I remember. I remember him being about 7 years old and me being about 10, give or take a year. And me being behind with my parents and a therapist or a doctor behind like a two-way mirror, right? And on the other side, or I forget if it's one way or two way. I don't know how many ways this mirror is going, but we could see him and he couldn't see us, and he was playing with blocks with a therapist, and it was like, he has autism. And then they gave us like a VHS tape to take home, and we watched it as a family. And it was depressing, and also nobody they interviewed was like my brother. And my dad, I just remember my dad going, "This is not my son."
Right.
And that was it. And I remember a couple years later, like around the same time, my just walking with my mother and my brother on a sidewalk, and my brother like walking ahead and stimming and talking to himself, and my mom just, I mean, he was probably around 9 at this point, and my mother just going, "This is it. This is as good as he's gonna get." And then she just started to cry. I just remember that. And so that's sort of when it like well, that's about my earliest memories of diagnosis and stuff like that. But you always sort of, I think that before that, we all knew there was something going on.
Right.
We just didn't have the resources yet because it was, you know, the 80s.
Right.
So
and that's why I was just wondering how your parents handled it and how did they tell you? So I guess you answered that question because you all watched that movie together.
Yeah, I guess we handled it like, my parents are very pragmatic, tough, smart people too, and they were like, "Okay, well, this is what we got, and you know, we're gonna like work hard to make it to make his life as productive and as good as possible." And to my parents' credit, they never were like, he can only do this, he can only do that. My parents were like, "No, if we push him, he can probably do this and do that." And they've been right like 9 out of 10 times. And it's like an art form pushing my brother. It just, he's really got a tough, he's very stubborn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to teach him to play new video games, and it's just because he's playing the same video games from like 1991. And it's just a pandemic, and we're just trying to get him to try new stuff and to keep his mind busy. And it's just like, we bought him a new Nintendo Switch, which is like not cheap, And when he doesn't like a present, he doesn't sell it. He doesn't know how. He goes to the Salvation Army and donates it. And so I was like
Oh,
begging him, please do not donate your Nintendo Switch. This is
right.
not a Star Wars calendar you don't want.
Right.
And he's like,
Right.
okay, all right. Okay, I promise. You know, it's just like, it's just, I bought him all these expensive, stupid games, and I'm like sending him links to like learn how to play it because I can't be there to show him how to play it.
Right. Right.
And he can play it because he learned how to play the games in 1993, which are
Right.
just as difficult. I'm buying him easy games. I'm buying him just the
Right.
new Mario Brothers, like
Right.
on a realm he understands. But
Yeah.
he's just got to push through it, you know. And like, so
What was it like
anyway,
in
he said he
school?
tried.
Did he go to the same school as you?
No, he went to a special school for people with developmental disabilities,
Mhm.
a special grade school, and then a special high school.
Mhm. Did he go till he
Yeah.
was 21?
No, he went until he was 19,
Okay.
and then he went to a special college program for people with the developmental disabilities that like were like college, but they teach you how to like do laundry, how to like crunch numbers and stuff, and a lot of it was over his head, and he got like a participation
Trophy.
certificate or something.
Yeah.
But he is since he was 13, he joined a private like organization that is funded by the government, that it's called Live Work Play, and it's an organization in Ottawa that has just is like a social, it's like a, the way I would describe it, like when he was a kid, is they would spend the morning learning how to do laundry, spend the afternoon going to a wave pool, you know, and going to like a restaurant, and you know, going mini putting, and then they would always like, it would be like learning how to live, learning how to work, and learning how to play. And he's been with that group ever since, and you sort of stay in your whatever it is 5-year age group all throughout your life. So that's his sort of friend group. I mean, he's got a lot of enemies in that, people he doesn't get along with. But it's so funny because he's got this, you know, we treat him with kid gloves because we understand that he has a disability.
Right.
But his group, they also have a disability, so they don't care that he has a disability.
Right.
So they treat him like they're mean to him, and it's pretty funny. Like it's, you know, he's got this like huge email list, and he'll spend all of like every day he'll be like, hello to all 43 of yourselves, and he'll have 43 people on the email, and it'll be just be him, like a picture of him trying on a new shirt, or I have a new shirt, you know, and you're like, okay. And most of the people are like, hey, like this is adorable, you know, like friends, like acquaintances, or they ignore it, but you know, they respond to 1 out of every 5, which is great. And but he includes people from his group who are, and then this girl the other day was like, stop sending me emails. They are kind of annoying. It's like spam. It's just a man with a t-shirt. Right. And he was so pissed off. He called her like a blasted girl. That blasted girl can't. And he wrote her. I was like, hey man, just don't write her back, or just if you write her back, say, my bad, I won't send you more emails. But he was like, too late. I said, don't you ever freaking talk back to me like that again.
Oh,
like, okay. Oh boy. Oh geez.
Okay, well, this is why on Facebook it's called unfriend, unfollow. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids, and I had twin girls, and then I had 5 years later I had Robbie, my son with autism, and then 5 years later I had my youngest son. So there was a big difference between being an older sibling and being a younger sibling.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so my girls, and also because they were girls, 5-year-olds, they love to play with dolls, and they're like little mommies, and they always babied him and took care of him and did his hair and bathed him and changed his diapers and everything, right? but my younger son, totally different, because Robbie was bigger than him and he was loud and
Yeah.
he was nonverbal. He was a lot like JJ, a lot like Kirk's son.
Mhm.
And so when my son in kindergarten started making new friends, he invited them to come over, and the room I'm in now used to be Robbie's room, and he used to bang and make noises, and he'd get all excited watching his Disney movies and stuff. And his one friend started to cry, and he called his mom to pick him up to take him home. And my son was so embarrassed by that, he never had kids come over again, like for years after that.
Oh.
So I'm just curious, your friends, you know, like if you had them come over and they saw your brother and stuff, how, you know, how were they with him?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is character building, and it's going to teach him patience and a sense of humor.
Well, now my son works at Robbie's old school. Now he's teaching.
Oh, really?
Kids. Yeah, as an adult, he has a different perspective. I'm talking about when he was in kindergarten, when he was little, but
no, yeah,
and he was.
Well, you look very young. I have your kids.
Yeah, no, my kids.
Yeah. Well, I would say that we had I grew up downtown, and on our block there was a bunch of kids, and we had a very tight-knit community on our block. All the mothers and brothers, or mothers and fathers, and all of the kids knew each other really well. And there were mostly people understood my generation, because my friends were older, but like their younger siblings, that we would try, like my mother would be like, go hang out with Simon, Jeremy's younger brother. He's your age. And it kind of worked when they were like 4 or 5. And then when they got older, the separation got bigger and bigger, and they would start to tease my brother. And my brother is still traumatized by that. And it's like, that's when I would have to intervene and stuff. But my generation, pretty like understood. And also, I think there is a difference between like obviously there, like it's a bigger, not being verbal and having to make noises to communicate is a little more confusing, I would imagine, to a young kid to understand than my brother, who could speak.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, but that's what I was.
So
I was wondering how the other kids treated him. Did they tease him and stuff? That's kind of what I was wondering.
People teased, not my friends, but strangers would. Like in the schoolyard, he didn't understand and he's acting weird. And when I was younger, there was a few times when I would get embarrassed, and I remember thinking, no, screw that. I remember being like 10 years old, 9 years old, being like, no, that's not fair to him. And I made it I was like, I'm gonna yell at these people, and I just started yelling at them. I'm like, he has a disability,
right?
And yeah, but I do remember like being at the grocery store and him just, doing his thing, and like having that being embarrassed, that feeling in your stomach, people are looking,
It's hard.
But
a middle school kid is always embarrassed of everything anyway. You're embarrassed by your parents. You're embarrassed of everything.
Your body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. You're embarrassed of yourself, of everything, so it's just a rough age in general. And then when you add that on top of it, that's when middle schoolers all dress alike because they all want to be clones of each other. So anything in your life that's remotely different is just mortifying. But I know that's that way with girls, boys, I don't know. I guess they are, but not as bad, I don't think.
Yeah, I know we went to separate schools, so I didn't have to deal with that. The only sort of interaction with people my age were people on my block, and I kind of just hung out with them.
Yeah.
And so they knew.
That's why I sent my son to a school for autistic kids, not knowing how severe he would end up being. But at 3 years old, I'm thinking, I don't want him in public school getting bullied by other kids. I felt that I was protecting him by doing that. If he was at a school for special kids, hopefully he didn't have to deal with it.
I
He's
remember
dealing
when-
with it now with his friends now. They're giving him a hard time about his emails.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was kids there that would bully him too.
Mhm.
He talks about it a lot, you know. Yeah, he's just these random names. You're just like, you know, names that just, oh, and Mark Frechette. Oh, and he told me to throw a snowball at a teacher, and that's a horrible thing to do. And why would he say that? And you're just like, I don't know, man. I don't what's Mark Frechette up to now?
Yeah.
No idea.
Like, where did that come from right now? So random.
Yeah.
It's amazing how their
Get
mind
over.
works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he doesn't live with your parents. He's living independently.
Yes, for a decade now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not semi-assisted, but one step above that. I mean, he has like a person from Live Work Play comes by once a week, and they make dinner. And they go grocery shopping. They go grocery shopping and then make dinner, and they plan the meals for the week.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a volunteer, like a Big Brother type situation. He comes by once a week.
Mhm.
And then it's actually pretty embarrassing. He's in a wheelchair, and I thought that he was part of Peter's group.
Oh, this is the guy that helps
And I
him.
just realized,
Oh,
yeah, like the Big Brother type guy.
Yeah,
And then I just realized he's you know, more capable than I am in a lot of ways.
right.
Very embarrassing. And anyway, and then he meets, and then my parents are you know, I get a 5-10 minute drive away, and he goes over on Sundays and gets a bunch of leftovers. My parents come over probably once a week to his apartment and make sure,
Mhm.
you know, that he's
Does it make
dusting.
sure that he's bathing and all this self-care and all that stuff is being done, like, or does he not need that, somebody following up on him so much?
He's good with that. When you give, I'll say one thing: he is a hard worker, and when you give him a routine, he does it.
Right.
He naturally has a very strong work ethic.
Mhm.
But he doesn't see dust. He doesn't see, like for example, if the fire alarm goes off in the building, he wouldn't know what to do. Like if anything changes from the script,
Right.
if the water gets shut off, if there's like a post-it, like if there, you know, buildings do this, it'll be like on December 5th, the water will be shut off from, you know, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Right.
My brother can't read and understand that, and the water will be off, and he'll panic. He needs someone at arm's length to come over and help him.
Right.
If the internet screws up, which I find confusing when my internet goes down,
Mhm.
you know, he needs someone to come over and fix that. Like any kind of little thing
Mhm.
he needs help with. If they, like, I remember they changed over the washing machines in his apartment building from like coin operated to those little tap cards, and my God, that was like
Yeah.
Armageddon, you
Yeah.
know. So
Right.
yeah,
The building that he's in, is it all people like him or no? It's
no, it's like a massive apartment building, like 26 stories. It's a lot of retired people,
okay.
and there's a few people like him from Live Work Play, who you know, either rent there. Like that's the building that they all go to. They've just sort of decided. My parents helped find the building and go like, if anyone lives in like the west side of Ottawa, you know, and you want, this is a good place for your kid if you want to try independence. The rent is cheap. You can, you know, it's somewhat affordable if you can buy, and but it's clean and safe, and there's transit lines and blah 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 blah. And so,
Mhm.
you know, I think at one point there was 10 kids there, or they're men, and women now, but I think now it's down to 5. And I keep, I'm trying to get him to hang out with those people more, but he doesn't, he's becoming a bit of a hermit, so.
Well, COVID hasn't
Yeah.
helped, kind of keeps everybody trapped in. But how is this paid for? Do your parents pay the rent or?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Parents pay the rent, that's another reason why we're lucky. He's lucky.
Mhm.
My parents are 73, 79. Yeah. So, there might become a time where I live in New York now doing comedy. I have to sort of semi give up my dream and move back to Ottawa and take care of him. I'm not sure if that's going to have to happen, but I'll probably try and give it a couple years and see how that goes.
Yeah, well,
But
that was my next question. When they're not here anymore, who's going to pay that rent? And, and what about his other bills, like for his groceries and stuff like that? Does he get any kind of Social Security, or I don't know how it works
he
in
gets some
Canada?
government assistance. Well, it's sort of based on what your parents make, really. And
Mhm.
so he gets, if they passed away and didn't leave him any money, and the government would step in and, I'm not sure if they would pay for his entire rent, or if they would probably move him. It would probably be cheaper for them just to pay for it. I think that's what they would end up doing. But what happens is my parents are basically going to leave him everything, and that will be his sort of nest egg for the remainder of his life. And it's my parents are very bright and
Mhm.
good with money, and
Mhm.
I've sort of left a financial structure, which is fairly easy for me to administer and implement, where he will have rent and his bills paid for the rest of his life.
Right. I
So
was going to say who's will keep an eye on that money to make sure he doesn't donate it all to the Salvation Army or something.
exactly,
know?
yeah. Well, it's sort of like a little, like it's like a little allowance type thing, and then he wouldn't even understand how to online bank and get swindled out. I mean, you could try and swindle him. He wouldn't be able to give you the answers.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. Well, because the
uh,
interview I just did before you was with a financial advisor, and we were talking about make sure that things go into a special needs trust, not in their name, and all these kind of things.
mhm.
But, so.
Yeah, it's not something I know not a lot about yet. I probably should
Mhm.
ask my parents. You
Yeah.
never know if they hit by a bus or something. But
Mhm.
um, knock on this fake wood
Yeah.
at my
Well,
which is my
and
desk.
I guess what I'm just getting at is he going to be your responsibility someday? Like, how independent is he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's able to live on his own, but he still needs somebody to watch over him. And is there
Well, I
somebody
guess what I
from
was
the
trying to
government
say
that
is
steps in, or what?
we would probably continue on with the same system we have now. It will be like live or play. We'll like come by and once a week make sure nothing's on fire. But I would try and live in New York and see how it goes. But I could see that it not going well and me having to move back. The answer is I don't know.
Mhm.
75% think that if I'm just I might have to fly back more, it's like an hour flight. So,
Mhm.
you know, uh, I might have to just like fly to Ottawa once a month, you know,
Mhm.
but maybe I'll have to move there. I don't know. It'll be an experiment for sure, but he has a chance to do it himself, I think,
Mhm.
a real chance.
Mhm.
And that's basically my parents have been working their whole life with him to not only give him self-empowerment, but also not to become a ward for me when they're gone,
Mhm.
just by teaching him skills and saving their money and setting up, trust.
Mhm.
So a trust.
Right.
But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. We'll do a round 2 of this podcast follow up in 15 years, I'll let you know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're in New York because that's probably the best place for you for comedy, no?
Well, both. I could have lived in LA. I tried living there for a couple years, and I just love New York so much. It's also closer to Peter. It's closer to my parents.
Right.
Um, and it's more my speed, but it's also it's closer to family. But it's the right place to be for stand up. There's a lot of clubs there. I perform all the time, and it's great.
Yeah. How did you get into comedy?
Um, it's something I always wanted to do. I used to watch it with my dad on TV, and um, they said I can do whatever I want as long as I get a university degree. And I did that, and I tried an office job, and I was miserable. And then I was like, I'm gonna do it. Screw it. And
Is there,
we'll give it a
uh,
couple. Yeah.
how do you learn how to do it, how to do the timing and how to write your jokes and all that kind of stuff? Is that something that just comes naturally, or?
I think that um if you think you're really funny, if you really like that, I think being funny comes naturally. Uh, but being able to transfer that
To the
to
stage is
the
a big
stage
thing. Yeah.
is a learned thing that if you work hard, you can learn. And you have to learn only by doing it and failing and finding the timing and learning how to write and watching people who are really good and just being obsessed with it. And basically how you learn is you perform um like 10 times a week, and
Like where? Like
yeah,
what
and
kind of places do you go perform when you're just starting out, when you're just learning? Like where do you get that practice on a stage to be with an audience and all that? Like go back to the beginning. Tell me how you started it.
well basically if you come from like a mid-sized city which doesn't have like New York, like a zillion comedy open mics, you you probably have a comedy club or some place that does comedy, and then you can perform there probably two, 3 times a month. And then you have probably people who run bar shows in the back of a bar with like 5 people. You can probably do 1 or 2 of those a month. And then you have open mics, music open mics all over the city. You have comedy open mics here and there. You have, you know, maybe you start your own show because you want stage time, and you can do like end up doing like 4 or 5 times a week, and that's how you get up. That's how you do it, and you just you know write it as much as you can, perform as much as you can, and make friends with people you think are funny, and work on ideas. And yeah, that's it. That's the only way to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and then you basically are terrible for 2 full years, and if you decide to quit, you've wasted 2 years of your life.
Right.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah.
When do you get to the point where you get like an agent and someone that helps you get gigs, or do you do it by yourself?
Well, you get when you basically you it's very tricky to do that. I would say in order to get an agent, you would these days, if you didn't move to LA, New York, or Toronto or Chicago, I would say that you have to like start a podcast, start doing funny things on Instagram and TikTok,
Right.
get a following that way,
Right.
email these like agencies and go, I have 50,000 followers on TikTok. When I perform here and here, I get people to come out and see me because I have a following, and the blah 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 blah, and I made this and that, and then people go, oh well, I can work with you, and they see potential in you. Or I just got management and agent because I like comedy venues like me, and so they would put me on showcases for festivals, and then I would book the showcases, I would book the festivals, and then I would do well at the festivals, and then industry goes to the festivals to find new talent, and then and that's how I hooked up with those people, and then they're like, move to LA and here's auditions and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm a singer-songwriter. So years ago, I looked into, how do you make it in the music business? So that's why I ask you these questions, because I'm just curious, because it's the entertainment business.
I think the way you make it is in the entertainment industry is the same way you make it in sales or any other sort of entrepreneurial industry, is that you have to be friends with people who you're doing it with that are more successful with you, and then they will give you opportunities by recommending you.
Yeah, that's good. So
yeah
I wouldn't have expected that, because in entertainment there's always this jealousy and competition and whatever, but maybe comedy's a little different.
If someone yeah, it's surprising, like it's like you'd think a lot of my friends are comedians, and you'd think that but there's a camaraderie because it's so stupid. It's such an insane lifestyle.
Right.
Like we're all in this together.
Right.
So we're the only people that understand
what
our lives are like. And we're the only people we can talk to. So we're all friends. And also you want to work with people. If you got a writing gig, or you just got a TV show that you're producing, you want to work with your friends that you think are funny, that you trust, that you can vibe with and flow with. So if you're a musician, you go like, look, I like you, you'd be good on the road. Can you be a backup singer for me? Mm-hmm. Come on the road with me. Can you, do this, do that? And you know what? You're great. We're slightly different styles. I'm going to recommend you to my agent. I think she could use you. She'd be dumb not to have you, and also you want to see your friend succeed. And what if you recommend your friend to an agent, and then that friend becomes super successful? That person's going to pull you up. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're trying to bat down all your friends, you have nobody. You're decreasing the amount of people in your circle that can help you, that can be successful. I think
it's true, because I notice Adam Sandler always has the same guys in all his movies. I'm like, this is all his friends are in every movie, and they're all comedians. So it's easier to write when you know each other. Yeah, I'm assuming you met Kirk somewhere on the circuit.
Yeah. We had a mutual friend, Eddie Del Seppi. He also came up with the name of our podcast, Autastic. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you should talk to Kirk. He has a son with autism. I know your brother has autism, and you both you talk about it, and it's a big thing in your life. And then we had a lot in common, and we realized that, at the time there wasn't any podcasts about autism, so yeah. And it was a perspective. It was like, he's a parent and I'm a sibling. So, and verbal and nonverbal. So it was,
right. You've been doing it for what? For like 5 years?
Yeah. 6 years now. Yeah. Long time.
Yeah.
I remember thinking I'm like, look, Kirk, I think this is like 20 episodes. It'd be like a mini series podcast. Yeah. I don't think I have a lot to talk. I can't talk about autism every week. What am I going to talk about? Right. And 6 years later, there's just, there's never ending, you have a son. Mm-hmm. There's just a never ending amount that you can talk about. So
yeah, you guys just talk about like whatever's going on, do it right, and you just talk about what Peter's doing this week or whatever, and so whatever's in the news.
Because that's right, and there's new each week. It's just more and more that people can relate. It's people listening. The more details you have, the more and more relatable it is. So, each week is a new opportunity for more details.
How can people find you, and they can find your podcast? Let's give out your contact info. They can follow you on Instagram as Mr. Graham K, right?
Mr. Graham K. First name is spelled like the cracker. Last name K is spelled like the jeweler, K-A-Y. Okay. You can find me Mr. Graham K on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm going to be updating my website for all my tour dates for 2022. And just, you can listen to Autastic, spelt like the way it sounds, on anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Wonderful. I posted your one joke a couple times because my business is I'm the paint diva and I'm a color consultant, and I worked in a paint store for 11 years, and I deal with painters and stuff, and I choose colors for people for the exterior of their home. And I heard your joke about when you worked as a painter, and it was just laugh out loud. I mean, for me, it was laugh out loud funny. It was like the funniest thing I ever heard. So I don't want to give away the joke. Let them find it on your Instagram page, right? And it says,
you can. I have a comedy special on YouTube that it's on. I think it's the last joke on my comedy special. It's also the last joke on the set I did on Jimmy Fallon. They're all on YouTube.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, I saw you were on Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. So that's great. So let them go find you over there on YouTube. Is it just under your name too? It's just Graham K, or?
Yeah, Graham K. The comedy special is called Stupid Jokes.
Stupid joke. Okay, awesome. They can find you on there. All right, Graham, I'm not going to keep you.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was great getting to know you a little bit. And
you too. Thanks for having me.
Go enjoy yourself in the Bahamas.
I will. I'm going to get some sun. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening and it helped you gain a new perspective. If you're interested in buying our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, the link will be in our episode description, as well as my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like more content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow us, and don't forget to leave us a great review. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.